Okay, I'm back, and it's been about an hour and a half, so the rock molds have had plenty of time to dry. So I'm going to go ahead and remove them. When you take a look at them, you might notice on the back that they have some air bubbles in them. It does, Woodland Scenics does recommend that after you pour the molds, you just sort of tap them gently to try and get the air bubbles to rise to the surface. I haven't done that on these castings because, well, I'm casting rocks, and the air bubbles that I do get are minimal, and they're very hard to even notice because it's such a jagged surface anyway. Depending on what you're casting, I think they can be more of a problem, but with the rocks it's really not an issue. So to remove them, these are rubber, so they're very easy to pop out. So you just sort of grab it, and I'm going to remove this middle one first. So I'm going to go all around the edges and just gently pull at it to make sure it's not connected to the surface. You'll see how I poured over between these two molds, and that breaks real easy. So then I'm going to push on the bottom, and it just sort of pops right out like that. And so there's one cast, and you see it came out quite nice. There is an air bubble on the top there, but again, that's something you're hardly even going to notice. So that's the large rock. It's all set and ready to go. And then there were two small rocks on here. So remove this one, and you see that because the plaster poured over the edge, it's got this sort of flat outline to it, and this breaks off really easily. You just put a little pressure on it and it snaps because it's so thin. So clean that up a bit. And that one's done. Let's do the second tiny rock on here. Again, it's got a little bit of an outline to it, which breaks off with ease. I got a medium-sized rock here. Again, just sort of push on the bottom and it'll pop right out. Looks good. Has a little bit of an edge too, but you're not even going to notice that, so I'll leave it be. Now this is the one that I only filled a little bit. This will be interesting to see how this came out. When I'm removing it, because it's so thin, it might break. I'm not quite sure. Pretty much stayed in one piece. And so this gives me another medium-sized rock, and that's going to look a lot different than the full casting of that. Which is nice. Just lots of pieces of the plaster that come out, which is why, again, I've got this newspaper down to just be able to clean it up. And I got one more here that's got two small rocks in it, so go ahead and pop these out. That looks like these are giving me a little more trouble. Oh, it's actually got three. I forgot. Yep, there we go. So these ones are tiny, but they're actually really tall for the size they are if you look there. So here's one. Two. And it's got a little bit of an edge. Remove. And three. Awesome. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to combine these rocks I just cast with a few that I had left over from a previous cast, and I glue them onto their bases. So if you take a look here, I've done lots of bases, 14 so far, and I'm going to do 15 and 16 rocky outcroppings. And so these bases are pieces of MDF that we cut with a jigsaw, and then I use sandpaper to smooth down the edges a bit. And so I'm going to use a hot glue gun to glue the rocks down to the bases. And let me just get the other ones I cast earlier. No, just one reel. Okay, so figure out how you want to arrange them on your base. Doesn't take a whole lot. And so let's do this one with just a few pieces, including the big one. So I take my hot glue gun, which has been heating up for a few minutes now, and I'm going to apply some glue to the bottom. Depending on how well you filled the cast or the mold, it may have an even surface like this that's pretty level and flat, or it might be very uneven. So in order to get it to glue down, you might need to use some sandpaper perhaps to make it a little more level, but these ones that I did look pretty good, so put a little more glue on there. And you want to be careful because I have burned myself already with the hot glue, which isn't fun. I'm just going to press it down onto the board and leave it to dry. Do this tiny one next. This is where you gotta watch out, you might burn yourself. Didn't take the piece yet. There we go. And this one. Good to go. I got one more board here to fill. So let's see. This one doesn't have any large rocks, but it'll have a lot of the smaller ones, which is kind of cool. Get some variety in these pieces. That's good to me. So again, go through, apply some glue to the bottom, and just press them down. And the next step with these is going to be applying the sand, which we're going to be joined by our buddy John to get that accomplished. So he basically took some brown acrylic paint and mixed it with a little bit of sand from the hardware store, and we're going to paint that on to the MDF to be the base, and then we'll be doing some dry brushing to finish these off and then put some flock down. So I got 16 of these rocky outcroppings. These are going to be done for the tournament we are attending / providing terrain for this Saturday and Sunday. So there you have it, 16 rocky outcroppings all set, ready for the next step. So I'm going to allow these to dry, and then we will show you what's going on next.